the chamber, from running so much deadlock, and now not running that. We'll see how it runs. And I mean, Vice is still something in Astralis' back pocket, who's been flexing from Initiator to Senti to everything in between. And then looking at Juna, who I think has built a lot of confidence round after round, especially after Split. So I'm wondering if we can even have a stronger first half from WADA now that you kind of shake those nerves off.
Well, now we're already trying to push Starbound away. Did some damage with the Headhunter onto Noya, so that's a one-tap right there. And I love it. The independence that you have coming out from an agent from the chamber, just to break the recon on your own and play the angles on your own and get the information to sack the correct site towards the mid round. They have 3 turns on the inside of SRG. Got owned.
What are these plays? Just trying to teleport behind with the Euro off the grab net, and Femboy's still a little stuck. But somehow WADA have held their ground. Paranoia right through the planner. Mel is gonna scramble and gets unblinded right in time to take a huge double kill and looks away at the worst time, and Starbound wraps around. She'll get the defuse, and WADA take the pistol.
This is what makes it difficult. As we just mentioned, how do you want to leverage Alexis to maybe allow here Donut and Mel to activate and open up sites. They went for the grab net throw here from the side of A main, which worked. It actually tagged 2 players. Mel throws the Paranoia right through the walls to hit towards the tree. But they already hurt the TP coming through here from Donut, the little orb before Donut TPs across. And even if you're getting hit by the Paranoia, they've held close range, so they're only nearsighted. You could still see Donut and punish her right away, which unfortunately on the trap play that you're trying to do here for SRG gets fully fumbled and denied, and it doesn't allow for you to really get into the site for a plan. And it's a great start for WADA on the pistol.
Now just making sure no one's in line. Free orb for SRG. Now you're able to smoke off and kind of fake things and send Mel as your lurk. And this is still like a viable site to hit if you wanted to have Alexis throw the barrier over, but really just trying to pull as many rotations to the right side of the map, and wanted to have all their Vise util, especially a forward wall set up there by Juna.
And they're playing the bait and switch with this. Right now on Starbound to get that pick and maybe even re-peek so that they go for the TP and leave it out to Juna to try to go for that. But unfortunately, nice flash is great.
Juna broke under pressure there, but SRG even up the numbers. Now able to flood on in. It's Starbound. He's just taking a big risk, having her back towards the side. Brings out the pistol, goes 1 for 1. I don't mind it. Now SRG have to tussle against defenders up close, still managing to get the spike. Good support from Dodona. 29 HP. I don't think she'll live much longer though, as WADA still having Astralis lead that. Is a huge retake opportunity, and now a defuse on the anti-eco. Not able to carry as much over into the bonus though.
Yeah, I was gonna mention the Vice Flash is actually really nice. It blinded Starbound, who couldn't get a pick into main, but that was actually Juna's own Vice Flash. So WADA doing a little bit of miscomms on how they wanted to go for the bait and switch inside the B main, which allowed Shopify Rebellion to get 2 easy kills inside this B site and go for a plan. It almost even go for a win here, a full eco win for the side of the attack of Shopify against WADA. That said, you can see here that the buy from the bonus of WADA is not the best because of the damage that was brought out from SRG. They get 2 plants on top of that, so they continue to build a great economy for the next few rounds, for this one and the next. Femboy's trying to go for a surprise play, but unfortunately it's not enough.
WADA got first blood off of that before though, and Mel takes an alternate angle. Just the Paranoia, Mel. The one-woman army out there, and SRG gets you go past the Vise wall, and now that's expired, and Femboy could not teleport out in time. It's SRG. Give him an inch, they'll take a mile. Starbound and Astralis have to retake, and at this point maybe they want to go down with the spike. I don't know how this is gonna go.
Yeah, I mean the tech from Mel is amazing so far. I haven't seen Mel do so many of these TP plays ever, and she continuously finds great spots to really get into the back lines of her opponents.
Last player standing.
Gotta keep an eye on her in future games.
Sorry.
Now SRG gets some extra ult orbs out of that, and WADA will have to think, okay, well the Vise util has not been enough to stop the forces of SRG just
I need a drop.
charging all the way through B main. Now you gotta worry about where Mel could teleport and who's watching over middle of the map, because you don't want to get flanked there either.
You have to understand how difficult it is as, you know, just a regular ranked player, how vulnerable you feel when you're going from the shadows, a TP on the side of Omen, especially towards the spawn. But you have to have good game sense and be cerebral of the position of your opponents. When they realize that we're getting pushed so aggressively towards the front of the B main, well, they know there's nobody playing towards the spawn, so she TP's there for the kill. But this time around, it's a fast play from SRG. Dimensional Drift getting info on Catwalk. A TP that went back towards B side to get info to push players out on that side. And SRG is definitely looking to hit or finish towards the A site, at least for now, especially when Donut is already behind Jenny.
Yeah, I like that fake from Donut, because using the clone to trigger all that Vise util has WADA like owl droning through B main, like they still hadn't had a clue until SRG had already planted. Now WADA will be late on rotations, and Starbound's gonna get smoked off, so not having the best of sightlines with the op is really limiting the win conditions WADA could work off of, and SRG still have all 5 stacked. And you have 2 that are lurking around, like look at where Noya is, wrapping around through the backside of WADA. You have maybe even Sarah who's gonna backstab in Shri, and is gonna jump scare Juna in Power Pixel A with the shock bolt for the ender. Man, you talk about cerebral, that's exactly what SRG are. Coming around through the backside, WADA have had no time to scale up before SRG are already flanking them and hitting them with a flawless.
Yeah, in a flawless, in a pulse plant 5v5, and none of them received any damage on the side of Shopify. That's just unfortunate on the side of WADA, a little bit of a miscomm. You looked at the positioning from WADA on the defense where they're trying to take the retake. Power Pixel A was holding the up, looking down towards the back of the spawn because of all of the utility that was already taken out on that B side. They were afraid of a flank. But when the trip actually sounded the alarm that Noya was there, that somebody was there from SR, nobody reacted into like a catwalk potential flank or a spawn potential flank. And SRG just takes advantage of that miscomm and damages everybody.
SRG just so good at the mind games in the early rounds. Just making all this noise and using Dodonuts able to gate crash out of B and get so much of the attention from Power Pixel A and Juna. SRG are just automatically going to have a weaker side at A, and Emboy needs to have a bigger splash in Shri, and Starbound was unsmoked through the... That looked like it was through the wall, and SRG are now really stuck. Even with the better weaponry, WADA looking for a thrifty. Yeah, once again, Starbound is just the GOAT.
The action coming out and Noya's alone on 1v3. Even the ult gets the information with 45 seconds left. Now she has info on all 3. You can get it done. Weapons only. A Vandal got picked up so far, so winning this duel could still give a dub here for Noya.
It's the neural theft investment. He's really believing in this and all. The thrifty still goes the way of WADA.
Forgot Starbound still had like 1 or 2 bullets out of their duel de force there, but you were talking about cerebral on the previous round. This time it's WADA. Just with Femboy's flash inside the smoke and going for a pre-fired shot and not fully swinging out scares SRG. They identified there's actually 3 players on the top of Catwalk, and it allows here both Astralis and Starbound to be ready to play the high-low, flash towards the corner, and just for Starbound to activate around the A site. Those was crazy. They were all crazy shots with huge repositioning coming out here from the side of Starbound. That was all thanks to the flash as well from Astralis and the smokes to cover A main to help them out capitalize here on around. Now SRG still has a goodbye, yeah. Back towards middle.
How do they deal with the Vise util? Like they had like crazy teleports from Mel to get around it, or do SRG just wait it out like they did on Split? And I guess when you get picks on Catwalk, you're setting yourself up for success without even needing to confront WADA on the site quite yet. But Power Pixel A keeps them at bay. Good trades from the defense, and SRG try to kick the door down. It's going to be a little bit tough. Donut has to use the clone and also get rid of the drone so she doesn't get pinged. And Donut's back at square one.
Square on the side of SRG. If they lose this round, they can still buy on the next. But I should expect here for Shopify to be a little bit more on their toes to break that Vice utility that you just mentioned. It doesn't always have to be a Yoru clone. They can leverage Sarah with the shock guards to break these Razor Vines early.
Oh. Lexus and Donut.
30 seconds.
Reveal Power Pixel A, 16 HP. Astralis, I need help. Help is on the way. Now both stacked in the closet. Lexus and Donut working together. The paranoia comes out. Astralis sacrifices themselves with Power Pixel A, and SRG stand tall.
Yeah, and those are big kills coming through. Somehow they turn it around back in favor here for SRG. And it started off so well for WADA to hold the defense, and now it seems that a timeout should be called out, and it's on the side of WADA again with King Fred, as they're capitalizing on good kills at the very beginning on that previous round, but just couldn't get the communication right on how to shut down the last two players. I mean, it did come down to a 2v2 with a lot of map space to work with on the side of SRG, so it's understandable here that WADA has to kind of play like a 1-1, especially when Australis could TP towards the backside and support here the last player inside B. But SRG, as I mentioned before, this is now going to be the chess game. With the amount of times that you want to try to hit towards the B site a little bit more slowly, you probably need to start wasting out the Razor Vines a little bit earlier so you could have the most effect in terms of surprising your opponents on a hit towards the site. Because Razor Vines, despite the nerf, they're still pretty good to delay well enough for the rotates to happen quickly from Garden into the back spawn, and then WADA should be able to get a backstab back into market with Crossfire setups. That said, though, the next round you can see here, Lemon Kiwi, it's not going to be the healthiest of buys for WADA. So the timeout is definitely moving forward into a trap play potential in this round, and then getting a little bit more potentially proactive in round number 9.
I think it's how you can... Yeah, and how you can leverage Power Pixel A, who had the Guardians, going to give that to Juna. Because, yeah, you want to control market. You don't want to be solo in mid, because WADA have lost that member early. And now just playing almost out of sight, out of mind when it comes to A. SRG get to walk in, and that's why you give Juna the Guardian to watch over in Heaven, I believe. Or no, actually they're in Hell. Maybe just try and get a jump scare. If you hear the spike and you get planted, the annihilation there from Alexis gets pulled. It gets the attention of Juna. Donut gets the finish. SRG are smoked off from members inside of the site. And this drone will reveal Mel is close, and WADA could react. SRG will see if they have a window to plant, which just barely Mel stays alive because all of the bullets are raining down on SRG and main. Mel may go unnoticed. Has to use the ult to teleport out because there's no escaping in that situation. Sarah tries to even up the numbers with a big double kill in Tree. The defuse being held actually beyond the halfway. 1v1. Power Pixel A needs to lock in. So does Sarah. We're going to have to reset back to the drawing board as a Sheriff versus Phantom. As Power Pixel A tried to just sneak it by, and a swing, unfortunate for Sarah, won by WADA. Yet another Thrifty goes their way.
Yeah, a little bit labored there on the last duel, but for the rest of the shots coming out from WADA, beautiful Sheriff shots coming out on that side. That was super nice coming out from how they reacted on Shopify Rebellion Gold. It gave him so much space. No value getting out from Alexis's annihilation, and still SRG were able to open up the site and get the drop onto Juna playing the Guardian out towards Hell. We talked about those Razor Vines, perfectly positioned, even though Juna dies and is at 1-6, had created enough delay here for the rest to come through with the Sheriffs and just win those duels. There's nothing really more adding on to the plate. Just gotta win those fights.
Let's win. Double Hunter's Fury first from Sarah, then Power Pixel A, and at least the offensive Sofa ult was to help SRG get on the site. WADA tried to flush them out. Unsuccessful though. Starbound gets in position with the op. The sonic sensors, the barriers, everything available for SRG on the post plant to delay and make things as painful as possible for WADA. At least trying to get sights on the individual lanes. WADA is not getting any friendly faces to go up against. SRG just playing time so well. Now peeking one by one.
Gotta be safe. Just so much util at 3v5 here, trying to retake with an op. Going for this to be a little troll. So much time off the clocker. I think they're just trying to keep SRG within the sites and trying to do some damage, but they're not winning these fights. They've lost another weapon in the process. They might lose these ones too because they haven't caught so many off. there's a final stand here after the spike goes off.
Okay, I can see the plan of just trying to get SRG to blow up to the spike and losing the one in the process. I mean, WADA looked like they've hesitated on whether to save before and more certain as the rounds went by and split, but we're tied 4-4 and this is SRG's map pick. This is interesting.
Yeah, and SRG getting 4 rounds on the attack so far on this map pick. But again, I think the conversation kind of switches this time around, chat, when you're looking at 2025 with the reintroduction of Ascent and also seeing how you're seeing different compositions and not the bench comp. Things have actually skewed to be quite 50-50 down the line in terms of attacker-sided or defender-sided. So keeping this at a 4-4 scoreline is just a true indication of how this map is being played, how this game is going so far, and still looking that in these post-plant scenarios, though, still very difficult with the composition that WADA has to be as successful if they're not getting good value out of this operator early here from Starbound.
I've been wanting to see Starbound open up these rounds more, same way they did on Split. Kind of mid-map has been not a huge objective of WADA. They've focused more on tree or just holding down on the sites themselves. Kind of WADA losing one early from these mid-map holds has kind of made them a little bit more wary. They hold back on the perimeter after Starbound. They just teleport out. SRG have their lurk here of Mel.
Cover going out.
It's getting a lot of looks. But WADA actually have their teleport all the way back towards B. Now this Vice wall is proving to be very troublesome, and you don't have Mel who can insert into market or go on a flank unless everyone from A side leaves, and Mel could cause a ruckus coming from behind. But SRG won't be just funneling and swarming right into B, at least not from main, but 13 seconds left. Like, SRG are really stretching the limits of what they can do. And now Mel has benefited from this deep map control, heads back into glass, teleports away. Now WADA are on the chase.
And even gets in position to play the pulse play with the rest of her team. There's a late lurk coming out from Noya, just trying to watch the rotate from spawn, but she should finish late on catwalk unless they're able to drop Starbound here on the retake attempt.
WADA feeling that they can't just wait out the smoke. It's gotta be Femboy that leads it. Steel Garden, though, gets activated by SRG, or no, by June, I should say. And now this is a big advantage for WADA to work with. SRG, though, playing in main, could have gone unaffected, but as soon as guns are unleashed, so does Mel, and has to reload for the 4th. Noya has her back, 1 HP. Mel keeps her life.
And crazy that it's Noya that gets the kill, waiting for the longest time to break that trademark, to trip out towards the pizza and save Mel at 1 HP. But that said, it was a small mistake to start from SRG's side when you're trying to sell this fake over towards B. It seems like Donut tried to throw a decoy or something, or trying to find ways to break the util over towards that B site, but she dies before even the op. She dies even before the clone comes through, jump spots, and then gets picked off by the op. If it wasn't for Mel's position in the garden, this should have been one of those rounds.
Shoulda, woulda, coulda. And SRG always been able to get that orb for free, and Starbound has really pushed their luck at B main. That's been a 1v1 that has dictated some of these rounds, while they're being more aggressive for that orb. Not let SRG stack too many ults, as the WADA try to stack more members in mid. And it goes pretty evenly. And SRG try to use that moment of chaos to get inside of the site with tree unsmoked. The door does just get closed. Now WADA knows exactly where this plan is going down. SRG's jig is up, and even got the barrier plus the teleport. Mel likes to give them a sense of security. WADA are taking so many different angles, one through main, one through tree, one trying to get control of heaven. A lot of 1v1s that WADA have to take, try to converge into SRG, and Mel and Alexis win their duels, and it's just Starbound in a 1v2. Definitely possible, spotting the forehead of one. Mel's quicker on the swing, and SRG leads 6-4.
How the hell did Mel get that kill while she's hit by the paranoia against Juna? Juna standing still, trying to land the Sherry shots, and unfortunately couldn't land the same type of shares that she did before on Split with that 3K previously. Mel is once again on the top for the side of SRG, at least on this attack side of Ascent. They're slowly walking away with this one. It looks so good for WADA at the start. Perfect push out towards middle. Perfect high-low scenarios. Perfect trades. They had a one-player advantage going for the retake, and their shots, once again, another one of those stories where you just got to hit those shots. If not, the story could be different.
Yeah, just going through mid-map has just been a no-man's land.
Yeah.
Kind of ignoring Tree, but what a paranoia play from Astralis in this Yoru, but the spike is down and SRG will recover it. Having to play this without Alexis is gonna be a little difficult. Meanwhile, SRG causing problems over on the B side of things, which has WADA scrambling on which site do we have to reinforce.
I think it's a stop and go now for SRG. After throwing the hat from Noya and spotting that there's 3 players on the A site, you're just going to cut noise here towards the front of B main. You're going to have your teammates regroup with you, and then probably just wait for a recon re-hit towards the A site. If you're forcing WADA, I was going to say that, but it's going for the full hit. I wanted them to create some sort of sense of chaos here to force a rotate and over-aggression.
Mind it. I mean, Mel even used the ult to teleport into the site, now out of it, and Mel is just everywhere all at once, like the movie. But also,
but at least in that movie, that movie ends well. Not this time for SRG, right? That's Astralis with a 4K in the smoke. That's exactly what I was trying to say. Like, if you're looking at the setup, they still had a flash being clogged up by Femboy in the back of the dice. Astralis is still holding towards the main, has smokes to work within and fight within. But because you're grouped up and trying to go for an instant hit, and you know that they've been weak stun on B, if you don't make any noise at the very beginning, maybe past like the minute mark, 30 seconds left, you might force WADA to start peeking out towards main to try to find information, especially when they know that Starbound is stuck anchoring solo inside that B site. But instead, SRG goes for the full site hit, wants to disrespect WADA, but WADA still has a stronghold of 3 players on that side, and Astralis popped off. Now WADA closes that gap in. You're seeing a game here of Ascent where both teams are making slight mistakes that causes now the game to remain close.
Kind of these individual chess matches from Starbound, whose main focus is getting their one at B main. And then you got Femboy, who tests the waters kind of with these jump out peaks, these teleports out from A main. And SRG haven't been caught by anything yet, but all of this noise on the perimeter is leaving the middle of the map open. And you have the clone that's doing steps towards spawn, so WADA knows something is up, and they're going to stack up together. SRG took too long to execute, so beautiful paranoia hits SRG in the noggin. And they have the spike down, 3 down. This round is so cooked.
Yeah, Omen on catwalk to throw that into M1. Now that was a nice Valorant round for WADA.
Switching sides.
It was, and for them to be the proactive ones too. Like, WADA didn't just sit there and let SRG hit the site. Like, they actually tried to prevent them from doing so. Because SRG are real scary on the post plan. So I like that WADA tried to take control of their own fate, but find themselves on a pistol. We'll see if WADA gets some momentum going here, or SRG, or are they just going to be the second half queens and kind of just take over like they did on Split?
Exactly. I was going to mention that as well. Definitely scary on the second halves and has a great composition to work with on the defensive side. Double Sentinel, Yoru that can take forward aggressive lines, be in front even of deadlock walls and try to shut things down, and it seems to be the case to start. We're already seeing Donut pushing out towards the B main with a TP set up on the A side, so you're trying to find ways to be over aggressive towards B, trying to listen for footsteps, trying to see if there's going to be something coming out. They'll heal the drone and send, and that might be the call here to start pulling players back. You're already seeing the pings coming out towards M3 to make sure that you're covering the gaps, and that's Sarah's responsibility now.
A lot of responsibility on Noya to be pretty much solo on A, because Sarah needs to make sure there's not going to be some wacky pistol flanks going on and not let Market go totally free. So once there's some noise, Alexis could work with a Sarah on the crossfire there, but WADA, we're okay taking these rounds slow to just scale up and work off of picks. I mean, that's the beauty of running this chamber and the setup that they have.
Here.
The other first shot's coming out though, but no kills yet. It's Starbound trying to battle against Sarah. At least they're pushing SRG back, and it allows for them to work the map a little bit more. You're definitely seeing now Noya. You mentioned the responsibility that she has to play solo inside A site. Not enough.
Yeah. Just being able to limit their numbers on the post plant is always good, especially Starbound, who's been a huge MVP for WADA in terms of the frag potential. Now you got the bodyguards at the door. Door has been removed, and Mel ready to play off with the flash, and kind of awkward. WADA were able to fire back against the players in heaven, and SRG get limited despite having a good flash going in. WADA hold their ground.
Yeah, it seems like some players tried to peek out just before the flash came through, because you just mentioned 2 of them were fully flashed when it was thrown out there by Femboy, but by Donut, but just unfortunately, I think the other ones came out a little bit too quickly, and WADA is able to just turn and flip the map around. Even Femboy getting into 2 kills on the top, playing the solo play on that side, allows WADA to get a lead here in the second half. This will be nice, because this will be WADA, if they continue this way forward and capitalize on this map, would be an exchange of maps against Shopify Rebellion on their opponent's map picks. And as we're getting an update though from production that we have a small tech pause with the mouse disconnect, so as soon as that gets charged up, we could resume.
It's like that WADA have been quicker to the trigger about. As soon as I feel like they get more rounds in, they're just getting faster and faster to try and match up against Shopify Rebellion Gold.
Yeah. From
WADA using util a bit faster to just hitting and not really waiting around as much, not playing as much of a reactive style. And I've really liked that out of WADA. And to be able to get wind in your sails from winning both pistols says a lot, especially on SRG's map pick. Having the weapon buy-ups too, including a Vandal, is so nice. So it's worked out well to just play off Australis too.
Is what you were saying before, when Shopify Rebellion were first coming into GC, and even when they were magical over to C9 White, over to SR now, they've been so good and so dominant that teams are kind of been afraid to play against them because everybody's looking up to them so much. But now you have teams going into 2025 that doesn't want to show that type of respect inside the game, at least, and does not want to feel intimidated. You're definitely seeing that a team like WADA, with the experience around 2 players that play with the EG in the past, and Starbound and Power Pixel, are not afraid to and know what it's like to play against a team like SRG. They're definitely a lot more confident in trying to rally the troops behind them to make sure that they are being clean on these trades, and it works out at least with the pistol.
Now leaving the sightline open. I thought Starbound was just going to sit there and kind of expect a gamble push out of SRG to just play Duck Hunt. At least Juna will take over, because maybe Starbound with the Outlaw could benefit more in these longer range parts, like helping push the middle of the map. Now Juna gets hit by Paranoia and keeps themselves in a safe position. SRG get kind of caught by a bait there.
That's beautiful. Everything works out so well. You hear the rotating from teammate, all the cross-forward spawn, so everybody can just stay there towards pizza. And you mentioned the Duck Hunt play before. Well, it's level 2, and it's being won now by WADA.
WADA could have cut off SRG on their rotate in. I like the defensive smoke, and now WADA just kind of set their sights on the main door that SRG are coming from. And SRG maybe a little too dependent on just winning gunfights. WADA are just as quick to cut them off on rotations, and now to be the ones to manipulate SRG and to outread them. Now it's just Donut who's hoping to go down with the spike, but this is really a solid second half here for WADA.
Yeah, you see the idea behind the play from SRG. I mean, it really was a high-risk, high-reward play where you have no utility left with the attempt of the trap play. So as soon as Donut tries to jiggle and they find information, Alexis throws a grab net, a Paranoid comes out and you're trying to flood through. But all of that was dodged by Juna. And when you have that being done and you already have the insert of Femboy on top of Catwalk, you've already dismantled the Catwalk defense, well, it's just hard for SRG to try to get any second wave util to fight because you don't really have it around your composition. You're staying as a death ball. You're hoping to at least trade with team classics And unfortunately there, it's not going to work out when, again, you have the experience and good aim coming out from WADA's side. So Juna being at least very, very useful for baiting util and finding information for WADA to play her part in this team to now spread the gap by 2 in their lead against SRG.
I think SRGs just have to be more wary of this market piece or this middle map area and how they can maybe coalesce around WADA. They've been trying to hold just the very back of the map there with Sarah to just now having a camera from Noya watching over. Now with the Owl Drone, Power Pixel A gets WADA set up to continue to do the same thing while Sonic Sensors cover Tree in A main, so SRG hoping to at least delay things when it comes to the site. Let WADA get the middle of the map if they can just not let WADA win all their gunfights this time.
You talk about the trouble in middle, and Starbound's already inserted there, so it almost seems with this ruckus that they're creating towards main at first and trying to break util on catwalk and maybe even go for a drop and trying to beat players to walk through in the back of M3 so that Starbound can get value out of this outlaw.
Here.
To mention how the buy is much lower here on the side of WADA on the attack. You're trying to leverage the best of your capabilities, what can give you the most success, and that's 140 taps to the body or instant headshots coming through with the Vandal from Astralis. It's slowly working. They're slowly pulling this rotate over.
Oh no, it gets a good peek, and SRG just operating more around information so they don't get surprised as much. Dimensional drift as Fanboy. A lot more information, mainly at the very back here at the closet. The paranoia comes out from WADA, and now it's blood on the floor, and SRG don't really have many pieces to pick up. Not getting any W's across the board. It's just Mel left. And WADA, man, when they execute, it's clinical. The round's over so fast.
Yeah, Starbound even gets value on 2 kills from their position on top of M2. Again, it's just trying to make sure that you're playing a little bit slower, I guess, in that previous round. You understand the timing left by Alexis Wall that she throws on her side. And now you're breaking both Sonic Sensors towards the A site, and you're still making noise here towards B, especially with the execution from the Dimensional Drift from Femboy to get all that information towards the B site, to force that rotate across, and with no players rotating through M3 or towards Pizza to really try to take control of B site. It's just easy here for Starbound to cut all of these rotates. SRG needs to be a little bit cleaner on these type of reaction off WADA's defaults.
There's not as many physical limitations, I feel like, for SRG to try and physically delay things, like with a Cypher versus the Vise Wall and the Thorns. So I felt like WADA had more delay on their defensive round, while SRG, they have just as many seconds with the cage being thrown up. I haven't seen the trips be affecting WADA too much. That SRG just managed to barely get into cover, but it's within the site. WADA smoke everything else off, and then they kind of always create these number advantages that SRG have to kind of clutch or kick in these 1vx scenarios, in these isolated spots that SRG just haven't been able to really unite as a team the way that we're used to seeing.
Yeah. I think coming out of the timeout too in the next round, I want to see them activate Donut a little bit more. The one ways that they're throwing towards the A side, yes, it's a good idea to hold things back for a bit, but it really blocks the vision of what Donut could bring here on a round where you can see her currently at 2,600. I wouldn't be surprised for them to pull out the off in the next round. What will be the reaction here from WADA going into the next one, anticipating this off battle versus Starbound's Outlaw if they still maintain it in the next round?
So Alexis hasn't been, I don't see the barrier out right now. It's been a lot of Sonic Sensors because you don't want just the barrier to expire. So a lot of stacked over on the B side when it comes to that Sentinel kill. They had a trip over in Pizza or the market side, and that's been taken out. Femboy gets a good start. Now you got a Bucky and Tree. That's gonna hurt. Mel's really pushing her luck, trying to push past the smoke there, and gets caught by the rest of WADA. Now Alexis just has to keep herself safe in Tree within her own smoke, letting WADA into the site.
They don't have to worry about flank because the wall's being pulled up by Juna. He goes for a plant, trying to build up the orbs for the steel guarding. So they are definitely trying to leverage her for the util that they could use in the post plants. The Starbound's just doing their job, getting the picks with the chamber that they could naturally just build up into the force.
What's someone in hell, and Noya has to break it with the Bucky. SRG really guiding this pinch well as one of those caught, some in main, some in hell, and Sarah caught in the sandwich with no one. Give her a lifeboat. So why did I get up to double digits? This is getting scary.
Yeah. You're definitely potentially seeing a third map so far with WADA showing a very nice attack side, and this is the op that we were just mentioning before, and Starbound not maintaining their outlaw on that previous round because of that beautiful, nice sheriff shot by Sarah, will still invest into an operator of their own. So what's the play now? It's the op not playing into the one-way smoke of A main. You want to have clear vision, and it's Donut moving towards the catwalk to look back towards the tiles. This might be big here because Juna's about to peek, and thankfully the smoke comes out on the attack side of catwalk. You're going to try to make noise here and pull rotates on a fake B pressure and potentially finish back towards A once again.
Sonic sensors in tree this time after WADA, like the swarm of bees. Yeah, WADA also activating the work here from Juna. And even Starbound through mid, so much map control. Given to WADA, and they're benefiting from it because they're finding SRG isolated, looking for information of their own. There's still a
Two
drone.
players inserted.
Still an owl drone from Secretlab.
Yeah, and Juna's already into M3, so she knows that she heard a couple of rotates. They got the pick up on catwalk, and it's weak stun on both, right? They have no choice but to play turtled up. So no matter where you exec, it's gonna be the responsibility of Juna to cut the rotates and see what happens towards the end.
Sarah and Noya can do. Okay, a bit of a miss from Power Pixelate there, but hey, dealing with the trip is good. No recon info from Sarah.
30 seconds left.
She has a shock bolt left too. And there is the cutoff from Juna as those rotates come in. Mel will have to try and dislodge that. Now there's help even from Astralis on the very back of the site. This is so clean from WADA.
Yeah, and it's just unfortunate. It's a small mistake, a misposition. And you can definitely see here when the macro's very good, but you're doing one slight mistake, one slight misstep, how the macro and the planning that you have on defense could just fall apart. And that's just Donut's rifle, the tip of the operator sticking out a little bit too far. Looking back towards the archway of M1 allows Starbound to just slowly creep up and get position to get that pick. But not only that, before that even happens, when the smoke came up on catwalk, Juno was already inserted into market of M2. So how can you actually take control of middle or be able to be reactive here on rotates if you've lost so much control of catwalk and all of the lane of middle in the first place that you can't get any value off the rotates? And again, it came down to even if they wanted to execute towards the A site and you have a brawl towards that side and somehow SRG is able to even up some trades in that spot, Juna is going to have some easy kills from cutting the rotate from B to A. So again, the macro, very, very nice from WADA towards the end because of the punishment that they got onto Donut at the very beginning.
Yeah, SRG just need to find a way to reinforce that market pizza side, as you said, because letting WADA have control of that has just been disastrous. SRG just lose one kind of team fight there, and ever since, SRG just would rather hold the perimeter, and this has given WADA so many rounds. WADA haven't dropped an offensive round yet, so this is looking like a map 3 unless this timeout from SRG has really been mind-blowing.
Yeah, timeout for the next round. Donut will go for another op investment, and you can already see the position right here. They're playing a 2-1-2. I don't know if that's going to be something they want to try to utilize. Oh my god, utilize even later on in round 19, but that's a nice little drive-by for Femboy, who even TPs back towards B. Again, they're doing such a great job forcing these rotates. You're going to probably see Donut trying to peek out towards Catwalk because of the noise done towards B.
Femboy has their gate crash back too, so if anyone peeks, this is going to be huge for them. Jump peek there while the rest of WADA carve through the middle of the map. Tree is theirs, leaving Mel in a spot with a Bucky. can maybe try and go. I mean, Mel is more likely to go for a big play than to play her life, and now hearing this swarm in, I think Mel, even she can't pull off a 1v3, especially with the Bucky and Femboy is just all over the place in the best of ways possible, finding Mel and main, and this feels pretty secured for WADA.
That is insane what Femboy just did. Still getting good agility movement, not even needing any satchels. Jumping on top of the boxes, faking as if they're going to jump towards the top and lands on the ground, and Mel was looking up, thinking that Femboy was going to be up there. Dude, that, I mean, I know it's against an anti-eco slash lower buy. Shopify only had Buckies to work with, but they are moving around so confidently around this attack side of the Ascent.
WADA are one round away from giving SRG their first map loss of Swizz, because they were 1-2-0 last time, or last week.
And owning open qualifiers as well, continue to be the unstoppable team that we expect Shopify to be, but you're right, this is looking very good for WADA in terms of bringing the confidence back into the third map, or forwards towards the third map of Icebox.
Femboy with the dimensional drift and a judge. A Hunter's Fury as a defensive mechanism for SRG, but the Infiltrator is there, and Femboy lives on in the heads of SRG within the site. Sarah does her best now to drone in and see, is there anyone in both? Still gotta take this one step at a time if you're SRG, even down 3 versus 4.
Spike planted.
We're just talking about a hero play from Mel, and she was trying to find a timing and loses the fight to Astralis, but this might be GG. Look at the positioning you have from PowerPixel A. Dimensional Drift has to come up huge with info and spams to drop these players inside B. If not, they're winning on time. WADA.
PowerPixel A was so far back, WADA didn't see the flank, and it doesn't matter. SRG may have zoned them off for now. 3 versus 1 against Femboy in the closet and gets all 3. And Noya dance, save the map, and does so. Still one left. The shock pull from PowerPixel A saves it. WADA win map 2 at 13-6.